Andramoi enepe musa, pulutropan hos malopola plon thee, epe troies hiron patalietron reperson. Sing in me muse, and through me tell the story of the man skilled in all ways of contending, forced to wander after he sacked the citadel at the proud heights of Troy. Those are the opening lines of the Odyssey, one of the oldest stories that we have, and a story that came out of a long-standing oral tradition in what is today Greece and Western Asia. These stories are really important to me because they're the stories that I happen to grow up with. My family's not Greek in their origins or ethnicity, but my dad studied Greek when he was a student in college, and he just loved these stories so much that when I was a little boy, these are the stories he chose to share with me. And they're the ones that I think of when people ask me what stories were really important to you when you were a child. I don't want to share with you guys the Odyssey today because that's a really, really, really long story and I couldn't possibly do it. But I thought that I would share a different story from Greek mythology, one that features a very, very mischievous child, a god child named Hermes. Hermes is one of the Olympian gods who lived on Mount Olympus in ancient Greece, or at least in ancient Greek mythology. I loved this story when I was a kid. I thought it was hysterical, and I hadn't looked at it in a really, really long time, but I just read it again to help refresh my memory. I'm super excited to share it with you. So, this is the story of a very, very young Hermes. Hermes was the god of shepherds, travelers, merchants, thieves, and mischief. His mother, Maya, was one of the Titans' daughters, and she lived in a cave on lofty Mount Silene. And the cave was really, really deep, and she lived there so that nobody would know where she was or that she had a baby, Hermes. Hermes was mischievous right from the start. Even by the standards of the gods of Mount Olympus, Hermes was super, super mischievous. As soon as after he was born, right when his mother fell asleep, he unwrapped his blankets and quietly tiptoed out from the deep, dark cave. And the first thing he did was he went into his brother Apollo's pasture. Apollo is another one of the Greek gods. But Apollo's not a baby. Apollo is a really strong god. So Hermes, being a tiny little newborn baby, must have been feeling pretty self-assured and brave to just wander into Apollo's pasture and make off with 50 of his best white cows. Now, as I mentioned, Hermes is the god of mischief. So he didn't just take the cows and run out of there as fast as he could. No. He was methodical about it. He used his brain. So guess what he did? First, Hermes tied bark to all of the cows' hooves. Then he made brooms out of twigs and tied the brooms to all the cows' tails so that when he led them out of the pasture, they would erase all of their own footprints. The other super tricky thing that he did was he tied really large sticks to his own feet, and he made them backwards so that when he walked out of the pasture, it looked like a giant had walked into the pasture. Super crafty little baby, if ever there was one. So Hermes led the cows out of the pasture, back up to Mount Silene, and he hid them in a secret grove. Then, super quiet. Oh, no, I'm forgetting. Before he crept back into the cave, he sacrificed 2 of the cows to all of the gods of Mount Olympus, including himself as the 12th god. Now, a long time ago, before people invented metallic string to use for instruments, they actually made stringed instruments strings out of animal guts. So Hermes had the bright idea of using the intestines of the 2 cows that he sacrificed to make strings. He made 7 strings. And he took those 7 strings and he strung them across the shell of a tortoise. And he made the world's first lyre. A lyre is a very simple 7-stringed harp. It's a classical Greek instrument. And this is the first time that it was ever made. Hermes gave it a few plucks, and it made the most beautiful sounds. He was pretty proud of his work. That done, now he tiptoed super quietly back into the deep cave on Mount Selene, back beside his sleeping mother, and he laid down and pretended to be asleep, as if nothing had happened, as if he hadn't crept out of the cave and over to Apollo, his brother's pasture, and taken 50 of Apollo's best cows and tied bark and twigs to their hooves and tails and led them out of the pasture all the way back to his home. What a mischievous little guy, I know. Anyway, Maya, Hermes' mother, she wasn't fooled. She was awake after all, and she scolded him for being so naughty. Hermes, you should not have snuck out in the middle of the night, stolen over to Apollo's fields, and taken his cows. That was a bad, bad choice. He is going to be upset, and I don't think you'd like Apollo when he's upset. You know what Hermes had to say to that? He said, "Mother, I did it for you, and also for me. We don't want to live in this deep, dark cave forever. We deserve to be on Mount Olympus with all the rest of the important gods, not hidden underground." You know what he did then? He took out his brand new lyre, and he played such a lovely lullaby that he lulled his mother to sleep. How backwards is that? A baby playing a lullaby for his mother? At dawn, Apollo, Hermes' brother, stormed into the cave atop Mount Selene, and he pulled the baby out of his crib, and he demanded to have his cows back. Well, Hermes squirmed loose and skedaddled out of there. He ran all the way up Mount Olympus with Apollo fast on his heels, chasing him all the way. When they got up to the top, all the other gods were watching this happen, and they were laughing pretty heartily at this brotherly squabble. Apollo turned to Zeus, their father, and he demanded that he make Hermes give him his cows back. He said, "Dad, make Hermes give me all my cows back." You know what Hermes said? "Tell Big Brother to stop bullying me." Who do you think that Zeus is going to believe? Hermes said, "I am no liar. There are 0 cows in my mother's cave." Well, Zeus said, "If there are no cows in your mother's cave, then maybe you could show your brother Apollo where the cows are." Well, Hermes had to obey. With no more tricks, no more mischief, he led Apollo back up to the mountain, and he showed them the secret pasture where he had put the caves, except for those 2 that he sacrificed to make the strings for his lyre. I wonder how this is going to go. Well, Apollo noticed that 2 of the cows were missing. He's no dope. Apollo's a smart guy. He noticed, and he was pretty upset about this. But before he could do anything about it, Hermes had another bright idea. Hermes knew that his brother Apollo was the god of music. This guy was obsessed. He loved music, and he loved musical instruments. So, Hermes took his lyre and he started to play. He played a beautiful melody, and Apollo was enraptured. He was spellbound. He was swept away by the beautiful music, and being the god of music, Apollo had to have the lyre for his own. So, Hermes, to appease his older brother and make up for his transgression in stealing the cows, he gave his brother the special instrument. Apollo was so happy. He was like, la 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 la, I've got my super cool lyre, I'm the god of music, I could have fun with this for literally eternity. Things are looking good. Actually, Apollo was so excited about the lyre that Hermes was able to drive a pretty steep bargain for it. Not only did he get his brother's forgiveness, but he also got his brother's magic wand in the deal. Never again did Hermes steal, and he didn't tell a lie either, though he didn't always tell the whole truth. I guess that's why he's the god of mischief. I hope you've enjoyed this story. If you have, there are plenty more like it. The Greeks were prolific storytellers. Their mythology has so many stories about people doing, let's call it, surprising and daring things. I hope you'll check them out. All the best. Bye-bye.